Romney wins 2 more states in the primary. How's everything setting up for Super Tuesday? This is the Citizenlink Report. I'm Stuart Shepard along with our Executive Director, Tom Minnery. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Stuart.
Tom, Mitt Romney barely won his more or less home state of Michigan, just by about 3 points. He also won convincingly in Arizona. He got 47% there. Are conservatives starting to zero in on who they would like to run for president?
Well, I think they are, Stuart, and I think what we saw in Michigan, that was the important one because the other candidates were not contesting Arizona, so that was an easy win for Romney. But what we're seeing, based on exit polls, is that more than anything else, people, including conservatives, obviously, because that was the bulk of people in the primaries, they want somebody who can win in the fall, and Romney edges the other candidates in that category. So I think this is an election in which people are determined to change the regime in Washington in the fall, and that edges out a lot of the very, very heartfelt feelings on the issues very important to us.
Now, we've been getting a lot of email from folks who really don't like it when you say that. So I want to pose the question to you the way that they're asking it, and that is, you've mentioned over and over that it is helpful to have that characteristic of being able to win in the fall. Mm-hmm. What do you mean by that? Describe what that looks like to you, a candidate who can win.
Well, a candidate who can win is someone who's got to have the right beliefs on core issues. Speaking from an evangelical Christian point of view, that means a candidate has got to be pro-life, pro-marriage, favorable toward religious freedom, and able to demonstrate that. Now, different candidates emphasize different parts of that combination of issues. Ron Paul fits that category. Generally, Mitt Romney fits that category. Rick Santorum, Newt Gingrich, they fit those categories. They all have warts, they all have bruises, they all have not performed as we'd like them to on those issues, but all of them basically hold to those issues in a way that is significantly different from the president.
Now, Super Tuesday's a week away, as they're all angling and moving toward all those states, like a dozen that are going to vote next Tuesday. How's it looking to you?
Well, we're getting down to it, aren't we? Now about 200 delegate votes have been awarded, 200 electoral votes, delegate votes. Super Tuesday coming up is going to be an awarding of, Bayou Super Tuesday will have 600 votes awarded. One needs 1,100 votes to become the party's presidential nominees. So by Super Tuesday, we will have become more than half of the distance that we need to go to find a presidential nominee. So it's getting down to it, and I think that slowly Mitt Romney is settling into that front-runner status.
So what you're saying is if someone runs away with it next Tuesday, then that might pretty much lock it up for the rest of the primary all the way to the convention.
Yeah, it's hard to do that because the Republican Party changed the rules this time to make a more competitive process. They award votes, delegates proportionally to how well a candidate does in a particular primary. So it's going to be a while.
We've also been hearing from viewers who say they've been getting disgusted with the mainstream media. Some of them are even getting unhappy with Fox News and the way it's dealing with this. It's usually thought of at least more open to conservative ideas on its newscast. Listen to this quote. This is from CBSNews.com. It's an article that originally appeared on Slate, but here it is with the CBS logo above it. Quote, Santorum's opposition to everything from college to contraception frightened Republicans who think his values-laden and ideologically strident tone would not only cost him the presidential election, but hurt House and Senate Republican candidates too. There's your fair and balanced, Tom.
Oh, bro. Wow. Hey, that's why we're here doing our part to set the record straight. I'm surprised that CBS, a network, would pick up something like that. Let's talk about that for a moment. Contraception. Who put the word contraception on the table? The president, the White House, with the HHS regulations that forces the Catholic Church to offer insurance policies, including that abhorrent principle to them, which is contraception. They're against it. And not many Catholics support that hierarchical view, but nonetheless, for goodness sakes, let them believe what they believe.
Yeah, and opposed to college?
Yeah, he was simply, Rick Santorum was simply making the very apt point that many people can do well in their careers with something less than a 4-year degree. And I would say this, many people have seen their children have views that are very divergent from family views after 4 years of what is mostly a liberal experience out of college. They don't like what their kids are being taught, the parents don't, and they're paying very much money for it, and so it's not worth what everybody thinks it's worth all the time. That's what the man was saying.
But when you bring it all the way down to opposes college, it sounds like something completely different. So they took his expression of something we all kind of know from real life experience, that not everyone who's highly successful in life has a college degree, and they've turned that into opposition to college. People hear that and think, oh, well, he's a loon.
Yes, and I'm just so disappointed that CBS would pick up on that. You know, Stuart, you were mentioning something about issues, candidates. People don't like it when I say something about one, something about the other.
Yeah.
Again, looking at the exit polls from Michigan, those who believe that abortion should be illegal in every single circumstance, and that would be a moral view that we would aspire to, went for Rick Santorum. Those who believe abortion should be illegal in most instances, and that's where most politicians are, they all went for Romney. And so Romney is selling his pro-life view pretty well. Now, I'm not saying he supports exceptions for those pregnancies caused by rape and incest, but he is a saleable candidate, so to speak, on the pro-life issue, and that's a good thing.
The rest of this I want to get your thoughts on, the idea that a value-laden, ideologically strident tone, which we would call truth, essentially from our point of view, would cost a presidential election. So essentially, if you follow this line of reasoning on the CBSNews.com website via Slate, if you want to win the presidency, you should have no values. You should have nothing that you stand for. You shouldn't take any strong position on anything. That's the only way to win the office.
Yeah, isn't that funny? Those people who warn Rick Santorum against being ideologically strident ignore one fact. As he has been, quote, ideologically strident, he's risen in the polls. I believe that people want a candidate who has convictions, who speaks articulately to those convictions and doesn't change them.
Another note we've been getting from our viewers, and we do appreciate all the notes you send. We read every one that comes in. It's a common theme. They argue strongly for one candidate over another. And the theme that I keep seeing is that they argue that one is purer somehow than another, that on these issues, he's the pure candidate, that those others, you know, they have all kinds of faults and whatnot. As you consider what the candidates have said and where they stand on the issues, how do they stack up on social issues, marriage, life, religious freedom?
Well, as we just discussed briefly before, pretty much they're in the same boat, and pretty much they're worlds away from where President Obama is. And so there will be a clear difference in the fall between what the president stands for and what any of the Republican candidates who emerges stands for.
So our encouragement to you, of course, is to find who resonates with you. Find the person that resonates with your values and where you stand, and go support that person. Get involved in the process. What we'd really like to see is that involvement in the process that's done in a knowledgeable way, where you do know where they stand, where you care about where they stand, and you go out and try to bring other people to your point of view.
That's well said.
All right.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to share?
No, that's enough, I think, for this week.
All right. Tom, thank you. And thanks to all of you who watch. Appreciate your emails and your notes that you send to us. Like I said, we do read them all and appreciate them. We don't get to answer all of them because they come in a flood sometimes, but we try to answer as many as we can. You may always write to us at mail@citizenlink.com. And we encourage you to pray for all of those running for office on both sides, that they would have clarity, that they would see God's wisdom in their lives, and that they would be able to lead the American people in a way that is good for all of us. And remember, stand tall and be heard.